Welcome back to Eternal Light. Wishing you all health and peace in your lives. Step by step, throughout today's video, we will shed light on why those chosen by God often face incredibly difficult beginnings, why they struggle financially, in love, and even in relationships with family and friends. Perhaps you already understand God's will, but don't rush. Stay with us until the end of this video. This is not just a motivational message. It carries deep, powerful insights that will provide confirmation and unwavering faith for all those who seek God. It is meant to strengthen your spirit and reinforce your efforts to fulfill the sacred mission He has entrusted to you, because you are chosen, because you have heard God's call, because you believe in the goodness ahead rather than dwelling on the past. And because you have chosen eternal light, you are fully worthy of your role as one of God's chosen ones. Stay strong, stay focused. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Chosen One. Have you ever felt like the whole world was against you? Every door slamming shut right before your eyes, no matter how hard you try. Money never seems to be enough, even though you work harder than anyone else. Love, something that should be so simple, always carries the deepest wounds. The people you once trusted, the ones who shared your best moments, now turn their backs, leaving you alone amidst the shattered remnants of what once was a true friendship. But what if I told you that all of this is not a punishment, not a sign of failure, but the clearest proof that you are the chosen one? Do you remember the story of Job, a righteous man, blameless, who feared God and turned away from evil, yet he lost everything? His family, his wealth, his health, everything was stripped away in an instant. People looked at him with scorn. His friends told him he must have done something terribly wrong for God to punish him like that. But what was the truth? Job was not being punished. He was chosen. God placed him in the fire, not to destroy him, but to prove that his faith was stronger than any affliction. And so are you. You are not forgotten or abandoned. You are not some wandering soul, aimlessly tossed about by life's merciless tides. You are chosen. But God does not choose the weak, those who surrender easily, or those who crumble under pressure. No, He chooses warriors, those strong enough to endure trials, those brave enough to keep walking even when there is no light ahead. If you are facing trials that seem impossible to overcome, know this: it is not a punishment. It is a sign that you are being refined. Ordinary people do not face extraordinary challenges. Only the exceptional are thrown into the fire, because fire does not destroy gold, it purifies it. You were not born to live an easy life. You were born to make a difference, and that means you will walk through roads filled with thorns, endure trials that others will never have to face. You will lose what once seemed most important, only to realize it was never truly yours. You will be hurt, betrayed, and abandoned, but that does not mean you are alone. God is always there, watching over your every step, holding you up even when you don't realize it. Do you remember Joseph, the young man with grand dreams who once believed his life would be filled with glory? But what happened? He was sold like an object by his own brothers, thrown into prison for a crime he never committed. What did he do wrong? What did he do wrong? Nothing. He was simply the chosen one. And because he was chosen, his path could not be ordinary. But those trials did not break Joseph. They shaped him, transformed from an innocent boy into a strong leader, a man capable of ruling a kingdom. So look at your own life. What you are enduring today is not the end. It is merely preparation for something far greater. You may not see it now, but God never allows anyone to walk through suffering without purpose. But do you have the courage to believe that? Are you strong enough to keep walking when everything seems to be against you? Are you willing to let go of what is not meant for you to receive what God has already planned? Because this is not the story of someone defeated. This is the story of the chosen one, and this story is far from over. Chapter 2, The Chosen One and the Test of Wealth. A person chosen by God never has an easy life. If someone tells you that the path of those who belong to Him will always be filled with light and glory from the very first step, they are either lying or they have never truly understood what is happening. Why do the wicked seem to prosper, living in abundance, while you, the one who seeks righteousness, who strives to walk in integrity, struggle through days of hardship, wondering if God has forgotten you? But let me tell you a truth that not everyone realizes. Money is not God's goal for you. It is His tool to test your faith. If a man enters the battlefield without ever having endured the hardship of training, he is nothing but a weakling with a polished sword, useless in combat. If a blacksmith does not plunge iron into fire, does not strike it with a hammer hundreds of times, it will never become a sharp blade. And if God does not test you, if He does not let you go through seasons of lack, you will never learn the most important lesson. Money is merely a tool, not your master. Have you ever wondered why God does not immediately fill your hands with gold and silver? Why does He not give you an easy path, one without debt, without worry, without struggle? The answer is simple. If you had everything from the beginning, you would never learn to trust Him. You would never seek His guidance because you would have enough to walk on your own. You would forget that true wealth is not in the numbers in your bank account, but in the steadfastness of your faith. Remember the story of Job. He was once one of the richest men, yet in the blink of an eye, everything was taken away: his family, his possessions, his health. He sat in the ashes, his body covered in sores, listening to the accusations of his friends who believed he must have sinned to deserve such suffering. But Job had done nothing wrong. He was being tested, not because he was weak, but because God knew he was strong enough to endure. And when the trial ended, God restored to him twice as much as he had before. And so it is with you. If today you are struggling with finances, if you feel as though you have been abandoned, remember this: you are not forgotten. God is preparing something far greater for you, but before He places it in your hands, He must be sure that you are ready. When Jesus said, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you," Matthew 6, verse 33, He did not say it to please the listeners. He said it because it is the truth. When you put God first, when you refuse to let the worries of money control your life, when you believe that He will provide at the right time, then the miraculous happens. But this does not mean sitting still and waiting. No. You must still work, still strive, but not from a place of desperation, not from the fear that if you fail today, your whole world will collapse. Because you know that even if every door closes, God still has a way for you. Money does not define your worth. Success is not measured by how much wealth you accumulate, but by how much faith you carry. Trust in God, and He will open doors of blessing for you in ways you never imagined. Chapter 3: The Chosen One and the Inevitable Loneliness. There are nights when you lie awake, wondering why your heart keeps getting wounded time and time again. There are moments when you see others walking hand in hand, happy and in love, and you ask yourself why love always seems to slip away just when you think you've found a place of peace. You have loved someone with all your heart, only for them to leave without a single explanation. You have opened up to someone you trusted, only to realize they were never truly meant to stay. And so you wonder, has God forgotten me? Why does love always evade me? But if you are truly chosen, the answer is clear. God does not let you find love easily because He is protecting you. Have you ever considered that those who left you were not a loss but a release? We often think that if someone enters our lives, if we have loved them, then they must belong to us. But that is not always the case. Sometimes what we believe is love is merely a test. Sometimes a breakup is not an ending, but a door opening to lead us toward the right path. Look at the life of Samson. He was a mighty warrior, chosen by God from his mother's womb. But he was also a man of deep passion, one who loved fiercely but was easily led astray. He loved Delilah, and that love led to his downfall. If God had not allowed certain Delilahs to leave your life, you too might have lost your true purpose. Love is a beautiful thing, but it can also be the most dangerous if you place your heart in the wrong hands. If you look back on your past, you will see those who came and went from your life, and you will realize that if they had stayed, you might not have become the person you are today. God never takes anything away without a plan to give you something greater. He will not leave you wandering in loneliness forever, but he also does not want you to trap yourself in the wrong relationship. He has a plan for you, a true love in his perfect timing. But before you meet that person, he needs to make sure you are ready. Imagine a child reaching out to touch a flame. The light is warm and beautiful, but the child does not understand that touching it will bring pain. The father sees this and pulls the child away. The child cries, angry, thinking the father is depriving them of joy. But in reality, he is protecting them from a pain they cannot yet comprehend. You are the same. Sometimes God pulls you away from a relationship not because he wants to hurt you, but because he wants to protect you from something that could wound you even more in the future. Let go of those who are not meant for you. If someone can leave you so easily, they were never truly yours. And if they are truly meant for you, nothing will be able to take them away. Do not hold on to what is not yours. God has a greater plan, one you cannot yet see. The chosen ones are always lonely for a season. They cannot live like others, love like others, or rush into things like others. But they are also the ones being prepared for a love greater than anything they have ever imagined. So if you feel lonely today, trust that true love is waiting for you. And when it arrives, you will understand that every loss in the past was just a part of the journey leading you to where you truly belong. Chapter 4, The Chosen One and Loneliness in Friendship. There is a question that the chosen ones always find themselves asking at some point in their lives. Why did the people who were once by my side leave me? It is not just a feeling of loss. It is a sign of transformation, of a journey that very few can understand. The chosen ones never have an ordinary life. They cannot walk the same paths as others, cannot hold on to everything like others do, okay? And most importantly, they cannot keep everyone by their side. God has a plan for them, and as he elevates their lives, some people simply cannot keep up. This is not a punishment, but a process of purification. Some people are only sent into your life for a certain season, and once their role has been fulfilled, they must leave. There are friends you once thought would stay forever, people you believed would share every important moment, people you trusted as much as you trust yourself. But then one day, they change. They start to grow distant. They no longer listen to you the way they once did, no longer understand you the way they once did, and then they disappear, leaving behind an emptiness that you don't know how to fill. But have you ever asked yourself, if those people truly belonged in your life, why did they leave so easily? When he faced his greatest trial, when he was arrested and led to be crucified, the very disciples he had taught, trusted, and walked with all fled. Even Peter, the one who swore he would never abandon him, denied him 3 times just to save himself. If even Jesus was abandoned in his most difficult hour, why do you think you would be an exception? The chosen ones always go through a season of loneliness. It is a time when you learn that not everyone is meant to walk with you until the end. Some people can only journey with you for a certain distance, and when your path becomes more challenging, when God wants to take you to a higher level, he will allow them to leave. But loneliness is not a punishment. It is an opportunity to draw closer to God. When there is no one left to lean on, you will realize that he is the only one who has never left you. And when you learn this, when you can stand firm without needing anyone beside you, he will send new people into your life, the ones who are truly meant to be there. You do not need to hold on to those who have chosen to walk away. Do not try to cling to those who have already fulfilled their role in your life. If someone can leave you so easily, it is because they are not meant to be part of your future. God has a promise for you. He will place the right people in your life at the right time. But before that happens, you must learn to accept loneliness as part of the journey. You must understand that not everyone will understand you, and not everyone is worthy of walking with you until the very end. Look at the life of Joseph. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. But if those things had happened, he would never have become second only to Pharaoh, saving an entire nation from famine. Betrayal was not the end. It was simply part of the journey God had prepared for him. The ones who truly belong in your life will stay, no matter what happens. And those who leave, let them go. They are not part of your destiny. You are not alone. You are simply being prepared for something far greater. Chapter 5. Preparing for Breakthrough. God has a great plan for you. Imagine standing on the brink of something extraordinary. Everything around you seems chaotic, difficulties keep piling up, and you find yourself wondering, why is my life so hard? But what if I told you that what you're going through is not punishment, it's preparation? The chosen ones do not have an easy journey. From the moment you entered this world, you were different. Your life could never unfold in a normal way like everyone else's because you were destined for a greater purpose. But before God places you in the position He has prepared for you, He must refine you. Have you ever watched how a goldsmith works with gold? They don't just pick up a lump of metal and declare it pure gold. They put it through fire. They heat it at extreme temperatures so that all the impurities are burned away, leaving only the purest essence. And so it is with you. The trials you are facing are not random. They are God's fire refining you for the greatness He has destined. Do you remember the story of Joseph? The young dreamer with the coat of many colors was betrayed by his own brothers and sold into slavery. If you only looked at that moment, you might think his life was over. But what happened next? The years of slavery, the false accusation, and the time spent in prison were not the end. They were preparation. God did not abandon Joseph in those trials. He was shaping him into the man who could bear the weight of an entire kingdom. And then the destined day arrived. From a forgotten prisoner, Joseph became Pharaoh's right-hand man, saving both Egypt and his own family from famine. And so it is with you. What you are going through right now is not random or meaningless. Every pain, every rejection, every hardship has a purpose. You are on the verge of your breakthrough. Don't give up. Sometimes the hardest moments come right before the greatest harvest. Maybe you feel like you've done everything you can, yet every door remains shut. Maybe you've prayed and believed, but God hasn't answered yet. But remember, the darkest hour is always just before the dawn. Jesus, in the final hours before completing his mission, endured unimaginable suffering. He was betrayed by one of his closest followers, abandoned by his disciples, mocked, beaten, and ultimately crucified. If you only looked at that moment, you might think it was a failure, but in reality, it was the greatest victory in human history. Because 3 days later, Jesus rose again, opening the way to salvation for all of us. Your trials are not a sign of failure. They are a sign that you are stepping into something great. If you had no significant purpose, the enemy wouldn't be trying so hard to stop you. If God didn't have an extraordinary plan for your life, you wouldn't be facing so many obstacles. Let me say this to you. You cannot give up now. God never allows you to suffer without a purpose. Everything He does has a reason, and when the appointed time comes, when you are ready, He will open doors that no one can shut. You may not see it right now. You may not understand why things are happening this way, but remember, every trial is part of the plan. If you can endure, if you can trust, if you can hold on to your faith, then the day you have been waiting for will come. God has promised that if you seek Him first, everything else will be given to you. That means you don't have to worry. You don't have to be afraid. He knows what you need, and He will provide in His way, in His timing. Keep moving forward. Don't let the trials discourage you. See them as signs of the glory that is coming. God has a great plan for you, and when your moment arrives, that every hardship, every obstacle, every tear was worth it. Final chapter. On the journey of a chosen one, there will be moments when it feels like the whole world is against you. Money becomes a burden, love brings only pain, and the people you once trusted walk away without a word. You ask yourself, why is all of this happening to me? Why does God allow my path to be so filled with obstacles? But perhaps the better question is, what is God teaching me through these trials? If you look back at the Bible, you'll realize that all the chosen ones had to walk through seasons of hardship before stepping into their destiny. Joseph, the dreamer of great visions, was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and left forgotten in prison for years. Moses, the man destined to lead Israel to freedom, spent 40 years in the wilderness before God called him. David, anointed to be king, wandered in fear, fleeing from King Saul's relentless pursuit. These people had one thing in common. They were not destroyed by their trials. They were refined by them. And so it is with you. You are not ordinary. The pain you endure is not punishment. It is preparation. God has not abandoned you. He is simply shaping a stronger version of you so that you can step into the mission He has predestined for you. A powerful prayer. Sometimes the only thing we can do is trust God, even when we don't understand. Close your eyes, quiet your heart, and pray. Lord, I know that you are refining me through these trials. Even though I do not fully understand your plan, I trust you. Please grant me patience and strength to keep moving forward. Help me not to focus on the difficulties before me, but on the greatness that awaits me ahead. I surrender all my worries, all my pain, and all my doubts to you, for I know that you will never forsake me. Amen. Some prayers don't need to be long or eloquent. They just need to come from a sincere heart, because God does not look at words. He looks at faith. Declarations of faith. The chosen ones don't just believe, they declare their faith. If you've ever read about the life of Joseph, you know that even in prison, he held on to the belief that God had a great plan for him. If you recall David's story, you'll see that even when betrayed, he did not seek revenge because he knew God would fight for him. And so, you must also stand firm in your faith. No matter what the circumstances look like, no matter how much seems to be working against you, boldly declare these truths. I am not abandoned. I am being prepared for something great. I will not let finances, love, or friendships define my worth. I believe that God is working something good in my life. Repeat these words every day. Whenever you feel weary, remind yourself that these trials are only temporary. Whenever you face failure, remember that a closed door may simply be making way for a greater one to open. And above all, remember that you are not walking alone. You may feel lonely, but you are not forsaken. You may not see the path ahead, but God has already seen it. You may think you are not strong enough, but God knows you are stronger than you realize. Be patient. Keep walking forward because something great is waiting for you ahead.